In the vastness of space, countless civilizations lived among the stars. The United Galactic Alliance was the strongest of them all. Its council, made up of representatives from dozens of alien species, ruled over many systems. Each species was proud of its achievements. Great cities on gas giants, planets entirely covered in cities, and ships that could cross galaxies in a day. But one species was almost always ignored: humans. Humans lived in a small, quiet sector of space, far from the important trade routes and political centers. They were new to interstellar travel, and most aliens thought of them as weak. Their ships were small, their weapons simple, and their technology was far behind. Aliens spoke of humans with mild amusement, often saying, "They survive because they are lucky, not because they are clever." On the human homeworld, Earth, people went about their lives, mostly unaware of the wider galaxy's judgment. Scientists worked on strange projects, engineers built better ships, and children dreamed of exploring the stars. Humans did not have enormous fleets or decades of space combat experience, but they had something unique: creativity, courage, and an unbroken will to adapt. Captain Mara Reyes, a young human starship pilot, was one of the many quietly proving humanity's skill. Her ship, the Starfear, was small and old by galactic standards, but she loved it. Every morning she checked the engines herself, polished the hull, and ran through emergency drills. Her crew, a mix of humans and a few friendly aliens, respected her. They knew she could turn impossible situations into victories with clever thinking. One day, news reached Earth of a grand meeting in the Galactic Alliance Council. A famous war hero, Captain Lyra Voss, was traveling through space to meet with the council. Lyra was known throughout the galaxy for her brilliant strategies in past wars. Her species, the Xiphorians, were tall, silver-skinned, and highly disciplined. They had fought in countless battles and never lost a war in over a century. The council had invited representatives from every corner of the galaxy, but humans received only a polite notice. They were told they could send observers if they wished. No one expected humans to make any difference. Mara stared at the message on her ship's communication console. "Observers," she muttered. "Just to watch and maybe get ignored. That's our role now." Her first officer, Lieutenant Aaron, shrugged. "At least we get to see the council. Maybe someone will notice us by accident." Mara smiled faintly. Humans had always been overlooked, but she believed in small victories. Even if the aliens didn't think humans mattered, she wanted to show that they could. Meanwhile, Captain Lyra Voss traveled through space in her massive warship, the Starshield. She had fought countless battles, destroyed enemy fleets, and led countless soldiers to victory. She believed in discipline, precision, and intelligence. She had seen many species, but humans intrigued her. Reports described them as weak, fragile, and unpredictable. Yet there were small hints of something else. Stories of humans surviving disasters and thriving in harsh conditions no other species could endure. Lyra thought about the humans with curiosity. If these creatures survive as easily as they claim, there must be something special in them, she said aloud to her second-in-command, a Xiphorian named Raltek. Raltek, who had seen hundreds of species rise and fall, nodded. "Curiosity is their strength." "But they are still small, Captain. Nothing compared to our fleets or our strategies." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Size isn't always strength. Let's see what they can really do." Back on Earth, humans prepared for the Council's arrival. They did not have vast fleets or polished uniforms like the Xiphorians or the other alien species, but they had ingenuity. Mara and her crew worked day and night to make their ship ready. They repaired old engines, optimized navigation systems, and practiced maneuvers that other species would never consider. Finally, the day arrived. The Galactic Alliance Council met on a massive space station orbiting a bright, blue star. Ships of all shapes and colors floated around it. Humans arrived in their modest ships, drawing curious glances from the council members. Most aliens barely glanced at them, whispering to each other, "Just humans. Nothing to worry about." Mara stood on the observation deck of the station, looking out at the alien fleets. She felt small and nervous, but also proud. Humans were here and they were ready to watch, learn, and maybe prove themselves. The council session began. Leaders of giant civilizations spoke first. They boasted of their fleets, their weapons, and their victories. Humans listened quietly. They did not interrupt, did not boast, but they observed. Every tactic, every strategy, every weakness discussed by the council was carefully noted by the human observers. Lyra Voss entered the council hall, her presence commanding attention. All eyes turned to her. Her reputation alone silenced the chatter. She gave a brief speech about recent conflicts, sharing insights and strategies. Then her eyes swept the room and paused on the humans. "They are here," she murmured to Raltech. "I see them, small, fragile, almost invisible, yet I feel unusual potential." She watched Mara as she took notes diligently, leaning slightly forward with focus. Lyra could not explain why, but she felt a strange respect for the human's attention to detail and calm determination. Unlike most species, humans did not try to impress anyone. They quietly prepared, quietly learned, quietly observed. The council session continued, but Mara noticed something odd. Small problems began appearing in the station systems: navigation recalculations, minor power fluctuations, and an unusual energy signature from a nearby asteroid field. Aliens panicked, assuming these were attacks or technical failures. Without hesitation, Mara and her team offered assistance. Using simple calculations and quick problem-solving, they stabilized the systems, repaired the minor faults, and traced the energy signatures. All the aliens watched in amazement. Humans with nothing but intelligence and resourcefulness had fixed problems that some of the council's top engineers struggled to solve. Lyra observed quietly, her mind racing. "Interesting," she whispered. "They are not weak. They are clever beyond what their size suggests." By the end of the day, humans were still overlooked officially, but whispers began circulating. "Perhaps they are smarter than we thought," one alien diplomat said. Another remarked, "They survive in ways we cannot understand." For Mara, the day ended quietly. She and her team returned to their ship, exhausted but proud. "They will notice us eventually," she said. "Even if they don't now, they will. They always do." Lyra, back on the starshield, stared at the human sector in the distance. "Yes," she said softly, "I will watch them. The universe underestimates humans, but I will see what they can do." That night, humans slept under the stars, unaware of the destiny slowly forming around them. The council may have overlooked them, but Mara knew one truth. Humans had a strength no alien could measure, the strength of intelligence, adaptability, and courage. And someday, that strength would be impossible to ignore. The galaxy thought humans were fragile and insignificant. But they were not. They had survived wars, disasters, and countless challenges with nothing but willpower and clever thinking. And soon, they would show the universe that being overlooked was humanity's greatest secret weapon. The galaxy had always thought of humans as weak. Small ships, simple weapons, and untested strategies made aliens underestimate them. But when danger came unexpectedly, humans quietly proved that their strength was not in size or technology. It was in their mind, their creativity, and their ability to adapt. It began with a warning from the United Galactic Alliance. A hostile alien faction, known as the Krivax, had launched a sudden incursion into Alliance space. The Krivax were ruthless, skilled, and heavily armed. Their ships could tear through defenses that most civilizations considered impenetrable. The news spread across the council like fire. Panic began to ripple through the room. Most alien species reacted the same way. Fleets were ordered to engage, shields were strengthened, and battle plans were hurriedly rewritten. But humans did not panic. Mara Reyes and her crew watched the news broadcasts with quiet focus. "We need to be ready," Mara said, her hands steady on the Starfare's controls. "This is our chance to prove ourselves. We are small, yes, but we are smart. That counts for something." Lieutenant Aaron, always cautious but loyal, nodded. "We don't have huge weapons, but we can outthink them. That's what humans do best." Meanwhile, far away in her massive warship, Captain Lyra Voss studied the reports of the Krivax attack. Entire fleets of alien species were struggling. Conventional tactics were failing. The Krivax moved unpredictably, striking where defenses were weakest. Most commanders were confused, frustrated, and afraid. Lyra leaned on the bridge railing, watching the holographic displays of the battle unfold. "They are clever," she muttered. "But cleverness alone won't win against raw power." Yet something about the humans caught her attention. The small human sector, barely noticed by the Council, had reported no significant damage. Curious, Lyra decided to observe them more closely. She deployed a small scout probe to the human sector, invisible to the naked eye, and watched as Mara and her crew prepared their modest fleet. The humans were doing something extraordinary. They had no massive weapons or fleets, but they studied the Krivax tactics carefully. Using intelligence gathered from sensors and communication intercepts, they devised unconventional strategies. Mara coordinated her small ships with precision, positioning them in ways no alien commander had considered. "Look at that," Lyra said to Raltek, her second in command. "They are improvising, they are thinking ahead, no one else sees it," Raltek frowned. "It's impressive, but they are humans, small and fragile. One mistake and they will be destroyed." Lyra shook her head. "No, there is something else here. They are adaptable. That matters more than size." Back on the Starfare, humans moved with quiet confidence. Mara gave orders with calm authority, and her crew followed without hesitation. When a Krivax attack fleet entered their sector, the humans used the environment to their advantage. They hid among asteroid fields, set clever ambushes, and used energy signatures to confuse the enemy sensors. The first engagement began near a dense asteroid belt. Krivax warships, confident in their superior firepower, charged forward. Mara's crew waited. Using rapid calculations and precise timing, the Starfare and its supporting ships struck unexpectedly. They disabled Krivax weapons using minimal energy, forcing the enemy to retreat. On board the Starshield, Lyra's eyes widened as she observed the skirmish. "Incredible," she whispered. "They are turning the enemy's strength against them. No one else does that." News of the humans' success spread slowly. At first, the Council dismissed it as luck, but soon more reports came. Human crews had predicted Krivax maneuvers, set traps, and saved entire supply convoys that alien fleets could not protect. Every action was small but precise. Every move counted. Lyra made a decision. She would meet the humans in person. She could not ignore what she was seeing. The galaxy had misjudged them, but she wanted to understand their true potential. Mara and her crew received an unexpected communication. It was Lyra Voss herself, inviting them to a secure meeting in orbit around a neutral planet. Mara's heart raced. This was the war hero the entire galaxy feared and admired. To have her attention was extraordinary. When Mara's small fleet arrived, Lyra greeted them aboard her massive flagship. Her presence was commanding, but her eyes showed curiosity rather than arrogance. "You have done well," Lyra said. "Your tactics are unusual, but they work. How do you think so quickly under pressure?" Mara hesitated, then smiled. "We don't have huge fleets or massive weapons. We have to think. We have to adapt. That's what keeps us alive." Lyra studied her carefully. Adaptability, creativity, courage under pressure. These are qualities I rarely see in a species so young in interstellar travel. Lieutenant Aaron added, "We watch, we learn, and we try solutions no one else would consider." "It's not perfect, but it works," Lyra nodded. For the first time in her long career, she felt a deep respect for a species she had been taught to dismiss. "I underestimated humans," she admitted, "and that was a mistake." The Krivax continued their attacks, striking unpredictably across multiple sectors. Alien fleets struggled to respond. Lyra proposed a bold plan: allow humans to lead small, targeted missions using their unconventional strategies. Some alien commanders were skeptical. "You would give these fragile humans command. That is madness," one said. Lyra's voice was firm. "Their methods may seem small and untested, but they have intelligence and courage. That is what we need now. If we continue with our conventional approaches, we will lose." Reluctantly, the council agreed. Mara and her crew were given temporary command of a small task force. It was a dangerous assignment, but humans thrived on challenges. They devised new strategies using minimal resources, exploiting weaknesses in the Krivax formations. During a critical battle near a ringed gas giant, the humans set an ambush that stunned the Krivax. Using gravity wells from the gas giant's rings, they maneuvered enemy ships into tight spaces. The Krivax, unprepared for such tactics, suffered heavy losses and were forced to retreat. Lyra watched, amazed. "They are turning the enemy's strength into weakness," she murmured. "No species has ever done this on such a scale." The humans' success continued. They did not rely on raw power or massive fleets. Instead, they studied the battlefield, thought creatively, and acted decisively. Even when outnumbered, they used intelligence, courage, and unity to achieve victories. Back on Earth, people celebrated quietly. Humans were still officially overlooked, but word spread among those paying attention. Humans were not weak. They were a species capable of extraordinary feats. Lyra Voss returned to the human sector regularly, observing, advising, and learning. She began to understand the truth the galaxy had ignored for centuries. Humans were small, yes, but their potential was limitless. Their ability to think, adapt, and work together made them far stronger than anyone had imagined. Mara, unaware of Lyra's growing admiration, continued leading her crew with quiet determination. Every mission, every clever maneuver, every small victory built a reputation humans did not yet fully understand. As the Krivax retreated temporarily, Lyra reflected on what she had learned. "The galaxy underestimates humans," she said to Raltech. "And that underestimation may cost us if we do not pay attention. Their hidden strength is remarkable." Raltech, still cautious, asked, "Do you think they can change the course of the war?" Lyra's eyes shone with determination. "I do not just think it, I know it. Humans survive where others fail, and when the galaxy finally sees their strength, nothing will ever be the same." For Mara and her crew, life continued with the same quiet courage. They faced danger, solved impossible problems, and adapted to every challenge. Humans were still overlooked, still underestimated, but their actions were speaking louder than words. And somewhere across the galaxy, a war hero had discovered the truth. Humans were not weak. They were extraordinary. And soon, the galaxy would have no choice but to recognize it. The Krivax threat had shaken the galaxy. Entire fleets of alien species had struggled against them, relying on raw firepower and conventional strategies. Yet in the quiet corners of space, humans had proven something no one expected. Their small ships, clever tactics, and adaptability had stopped the enemy in ways that the largest fleets could not. Captain Lyra Voss, the celebrated alien war hero, knew the truth. Humans were not weak. They were extraordinary. And now, she would make sure the galaxy learned it too. The United Galactic Alliance Council convened again on the massive station orbiting the Blue Star. Representatives from dozens of species filled the grand chamber. The mood was tense. No one knew if the Krivax would strike again and some feared total disaster. Lyra Voss took the podium. Her silver eyes scanned the room. Every alien leader knew her reputation: brilliant, fearless, and uncompromising. She began her address, her voice calm but commanding. "The Krivax have tested us," she said. "Many species have struggled. Conventional tactics have failed. But one species, overlooked and underestimated for centuries, has shown us a new way forward." All eyes turned to Mara Reyes and her crew, who stood quietly at the edge of the chamber. Murmurs filled the room. Humans, the small, overlooked species, could they really have made such a difference? Lyra continued, "Humans have demonstrated extraordinary skill, intelligence, and courage. Where others faltered, they adapted. Where others panicked, they acted decisively. They have saved supply convoys, protected colonies, and turned the enemy's strength against them with nothing but clever thinking and teamwork." The chamber was silent. Many aliens could not believe what they were hearing. Some whispered doubts while others stared in awe at the humans, now fully visible in the council hall. Mara stepped forward. Her hands were steady and her voice was calm. "We did what we could," she said simply. "We are not the strongest. We do not have the largest fleets. But we can think, adapt, and work together. That is how we survive. That is how we fight." Lyra nodded approvingly. "Exactly. And it is this quality that the galaxy has ignored for too long. Humans survive where others fail. Their strength is not measured in weapons or size. It is measured in courage, intelligence, and unity. And that strength has saved countless lives." The council erupted into debate. Some leaders were still skeptical. "Small ships and clever tricks cannot win wars," a tall alien with green-scaled skin argued. "We need power." Lyra's voice cut through the chamber like steel. "Power alone does not win wars. Strategy alone does not win wars. Adaptability, courage, and the ability to think beyond what is expected, these are the true strengths of a species. The humans have shown us that, and if we continue to underestimate them, we risk our own destruction." Gradually, the mood shifted. Aliens who had dismissed humans began to understand. Reports were displayed, showing human victories, how small teams outmaneuvered Krivax fleets, how supply lines were saved, and how entire colonies remained secure. Each report reinforced the same truth: humans were extraordinary. Lyra gestured toward Mara. "They are here, not as observers but as equals. They deserve recognition and trust. From this day forward, humans will no longer be overlooked. Their abilities are vital to our collective survival." For the first time in history, humans were recognized as equals in the United Galactic Alliance. The chamber erupted into applause, some hesitant, some awed, but all acknowledging the truth. Mara felt a mixture of pride and humility. Humans had not sought fame or power. They had only done what was necessary to survive and protect others. Outside the council chamber, humans celebrated quietly. They were no longer dismissed, no longer ignored. Other species came forward to greet them, some apologizing for their past assumptions, others eager to learn from them. Lyra Voss approached Mara privately. "You and your people have changed the galaxy," she said. "I have fought countless battles, seen countless species rise and fall. But humans have something different, something I cannot teach. You must continue to lead, continue to adapt, and continue to show the universe what your strength truly is." Mara smiled. "Thank you, Captain. We will do our best, but we only survived because we worked together. That is what makes us strong." Lyra nodded, her silver eyes reflecting respect. "And that is why the galaxy must see it. Humans are not just survivors, they are pioneers." And now the galaxy knows it. Meanwhile, the Krivax threat had not disappeared entirely. They retreated, regrouped, and prepared for their next move. But the humans, now recognized and respected, were ready. Their tactics, their adaptability, and their courage had proven that no enemy was invincible. The first mission after the Council's recognition tested this new status. A Krivax fleet approached a mining colony on a distant asteroid field. Alien commanders debated conventional strategies, unsure how to respond. Mara's team, now formally leading the mission, devised a plan. Using asteroid cover, energy deflection, and unexpected feints, the humans engaged the enemy with minimal losses. Their success was undeniable. Reports of this victory spread rapidly. Across the galaxy, species began to reevaluate their assumptions about humans. They realized that strength was not just measured in size or firepower, but in intelligence, adaptability, and courage. Lyra Voss continued to mentor and observe humans, sharing her knowledge while learning from them in return. She saw how humans faced every challenge with creativity, how they inspired allies, and how their unity became a model for other species. Back on Earth, children looked up at the stars with new hope. They knew humans had proven themselves in the galaxy. They dreamed not only of exploration but also of making a difference. Scientists and engineers continued their work, now with recognition that every invention, every clever idea could impact the entire universe. Mara and her crew did not become arrogant or boastful. They remained humble, quietly preparing for the next challenge. But they had learned an important truth. Humanity's true strength lay not in being noticed or praised, but in their courage to act, their intelligence to adapt, and their willingness to work together. The United Galactic Alliance began to change. Policies were updated to include humans as key members, fleets began training with human strategies, and councils sought their advice. Humanity had gone from being overlooked to being indispensable. Lyra Voss addressed the council one last time before returning to her duties. "The galaxy has learned a lesson," she said. "Never underestimate humans. Their strength is subtle, often invisible but unstoppable, and as long as they survive and adapt, the universe will never be the same." Mara watched from her ship as Lyra departed. She felt a sense of purpose and pride. Humans had been ignored for too long, but now they were seen. Not because of power, not because of numbers, but because of who they truly were. A species that thrived against all odds, that used intelligence and courage to overcome impossible challenges, and that inspired others to do the same. In the weeks that followed, humans continued to serve as a bridge between alien civilizations. They shared their strategies, their innovations, and their spirit of cooperation. Even the most skeptical species began to respect them. The Krivax would return, Mara knew, but humans were ready. Not because they were the strongest, but because they were clever, adaptable, and brave. They had turned weakness into strength, underestimation into advantage, and doubt into respect. And so, the galaxy entered a new era, one where humans were no longer overlooked, one where their hidden strength had been revealed, and one where the courage, intelligence, and unity of humanity would shape the future of countless worlds. For Mara and her crew, it was not the end of their journey, it was only the beginning. The universe had finally recognized what humans had always known, that when faced with impossible odds, humans could survive, adapt, and triumph. The galaxy had doubted them for centuries. Now it could not. And somewhere far across the stars, Captain Lyra Voss smiled, knowing she had witnessed history. The species once overlooked had proven their worth, and the universe would never forget the humans who had quietly, brilliantly, and courageously changed everything. Humans were overlooked, until an alien war hero revealed the truth.